Hi all, my name is Marta Ceccato and I'm the founder of Sapiens Media Coaching. I help entrepreneurs create a solid marketing strategy and an easy to execute marketing plan. Today I would like to talk to you about bounce rate and how you can use Google Analytics to understand what's causing a high bounce rate. I previously spoke about bounce rate and for those of you who haven't seen my previous videos, it's the percentage of people that leave the site after only visiting one page. I would say that a really bad bounce rate is anything over 70%. Again, it depends on your site, the content, your audience, but anything over 70% should be looked at. And is obviously an indication that something is wrong. The way that I like looking at bounce rate and the way I measure it is through Google Analytics, which is a free tool from Google. It's easy to set up. You just have to create an account. You will be assigned an ID, which is specific to your website. You can have more than one website on the Google Analytics, which is great because it means you can keep things separate, but also look at data from an holistic point of view. So once you got your ID, if you're using WordPress, I'll suggest you to use Monster Insight to add the ID to your website and start recording the traffic through Google Analytics. If you're not familiar with WordPress or if you're not using WordPress, I suggest you to give your ID and instruction to a developer that will be able to implement the code for you, and it shouldn't take longer than 5 to 10 minutes. So it's quite straightforward. As I said, it's a free tool, and I advise, all major companies are using it, and I would really advise you to use it because it allows you to understand a lot of things about your site, how it's performing, the type of audience you're attracting, the type of traffic, and then I will show you today there are ways of looking at data that really tells you what needs to be addressed. So in case of bounce rate, I would say, first thing I would say, go into your Google Analytics once it's set up and set up the benchmarking because that will allow you to see how you compare against other companies in the same industry, which is really good because sometimes, a lot of metrics, it also depends on the type of industry you are. And it's always good to see how you are benchmarking against others in the same industry. Then I would say, in terms of bounce rate, you should really look at use the drill down menu and you use the reporting tool to understand, first of all, if it's an issue that is caused by one page or if it's an issue that is across the whole site. For example, if you go, I don't know, 20 pages and the high bounce rate is on the home page, obviously, and it's got a lot of traffic because it's the first page the users are seeing, that's obviously driving your bounce rate up because it's receiving a lot of traffic, but a lot of those users are just leaving the site after just looking at that page. So as I said, look if it's a specific page that you need to look into or if it's the whole site. I would also look at the channels. So is it, and when I mean with channel, I mean the traffic, or the source of your traffic. Is it just to identify if the issue is related to a specific channel? Is it maybe the traffic coming through organic? Is it the traffic coming through ads, paid ads? If it's paid ads, for example, I will think that maybe the ads are not in line with the site. So maybe the imagery are different, the colors are different, the fonts are different. So the user might feel like he's not really confident and comfortable because he feels like he's going from one ad to a site and it's not the same product, it's not the same service advertised, it's not in line, and he just leaves because he doesn't want to complete the purchase. So really identify the channels, identify if the bounce rate is high across all channels or just some specific ones. Then I will look at the browser type because maybe there might be an issue with your site on your specific browsers. So that's something that could be sorted by talking to a developer, or if you see the traffic coming from those browsers is little, you could actually ignore it. It could be an issue used to caused by the type of device. Just always make sure that drill it down by desktop, iPad, a mobile device and really understand if it's an issue that is happening across all of them or if it's specific to one. If your site is not mobile optimized, most likely the bounce rate is just caused by the fact that your site is not mobile optimized. And I do suggest you to make sure that your site is mobile optimized, because a lot of traffic nowadays is coming from mobile devices, and Google organic search really rank higher those sites that are mobile optimized. So really, make sure that your site is compatible and it can be easily viewed on a mobile device. And then I would say I will also look at the audience, because while in Google Analytics you are actually able to see the type of audience that arrive on your site, and looking at the audience and identify those audiences who are actually having an high bounce rate will help you to understand if probably you are targeting the wrong type of people, or if your content is not in line with those audiences. So it might just be a case of tweaking into changing your targeting, or it might just be a case of changing your content and just making some small changes to ensure that it resonates with your users. And so yeah, as I said, these are the few metrics that I really think will make a difference when you look at your bounce rate and you're trying to find a solution and trying to get your bounce rate down to a healthy, I would say 40% if possible. So yeah, it's quite straightforward. Implement Google Analytics and start looking at the data and start drilling down your reports and understand what is the real cause of your high bounce rate. That's all for today. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.